going step by step to try to understand with our minds, not just to understand intuitively as we do, how evil people have the power to do evil. Where do they get the power? After all, everything comes from God. The question isn't why God allows them to have the power to perpetrate evil. That is, on a simple level, giving freedom of choice. Animals don't have freedom of choice, but humans do. The lion can't wake up one day and say, I don't want to be the ferocious lion anymore. I want to have compassion on all those other animals that I've been eating for lunch lately. But we can wake up and say, the people that I've abused, I want to have compassion upon. We could do that, right? So that's not the question. The question is, how do we understand it from God as creator, and that everything comes from him? So we started to explain the Word of God, everything is from him, right? And that the Word of God is one with God. As the Word of God, as we have it in the 5 books of Moses, our sages explain the Word of God as Shekhinah, divine presence. Another word is nether mother, the queen, or Malchus, sovereignty, royalty. Now, all those are different qualities and names of God, if you will. And we need to be aware that God is one, and his name is one. Meaning that although we say God speaks the world into creation, and we call it divine presence of God, Shekhinah, or again, Malchus, royalty, right? It is still, that's a quality of God, hence a name of God, if you will. It's singularly and uniquely one. Now, if it's one, that would seemingly mean there's no distinction. Yet, even though the Malchus, the royalty of God, the power of God, the Word of God is one with the essence of the infinite of God, yet there's a radiation and efflux of life force that issues from God's Word. And there are basic 4 different levels, because there's 4 different worlds. Not because 4 different worlds. Because the energy, the light, if you will, the radiation of the life force that issues from God's mouth, as it were, figuratively speaking, Malchus, if you will, right? What it creates is 4 different worlds, 4 different qualities. The world of Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya. Translated, Atzilus is emanation, world of creation, world of formation, the world of action. Now, why are there 4 basic worlds? And within each world, there's many dimensions, right? Many distinctions. Even though we're saying it's all one with God, yet there's still distinction. And why is there so much distinction in the 4 worlds? It's because of the contraction that's screening out the veils that obscures on the light and the life force of God. That the way that light, the life force that issues in the world of Bria, the world of creation, is so much less than that it is in the higher world of emanation, the world of Atzilus. And Bria is much greater, the light, because the contraction isn't as great as it is in the next world, the world of Yitzira, the world of formation. There's, metaphorically, shall we say, more screens, more curtains, more veils that doesn't allow the light to come on the other side in its greater measure as it is in the world of Bria. Now, that's as far as the life force is talking about, which is the life force is what we're imbued with and what we is our source of creation that's imbued within us. But yet, at the same time, there is no change at all in the essence of Malchus, the Shekhinah, the Word of God. Right? There is no, and therefore the infinite of the Ein Sof of God in the world of Atzilus is also present in the world of Asiya and even in this material world. Right? In other words, there's a contracted light of God which becomes what's vested in me to make me in this world. Vested in a soul in the world of Atzilus that makes it a much more lofty soul. The world of Bria, less lofty. But the essence of the Shekhinah, the core essence of it, is there's no distinction. In other words, the Word of God, Malchus, is found here, but not in a way that permeates us. Because that would be too powerful. That would be too great. That would be too much. Now, we continue with this idea that the individual is now also the soul, our soul, is compounded of 10 divine attributes, which is a reflection of the divine itself. This is unique to the human soul. Animals don't have this, but we do. And what is that? Just as God emanates himself with 10 divine attributes, 10 spheros as they're called, 3 intellectual and 6 emotional, and Malchus. So likewise, we have a soul that has Chachma Bina V'das, called Chabad. We have that. And that's what it means that God blew into us, into the nostril of Adam, the breath of life. He gave the soul of life. And in that soul that he blew, that's a piece of him, and now has the 3 qualities of intellect that is analogous to the 10 divine attributes of God. We call them Abba, Ima, mother, father and mother. Chachma is father, Bina is mother. Is mother. And the two come together, because of father and mother, they come together to what? Produce an offspring. What's the offspring that it produces? By the way, the coming together, that's Das. Das is, as Adam knew Eve. Knowing is the union. So the union of mother and father, Chachma and Bina, right above, then produces an emotion, divine emotion above, the 6 categories of emotions, of chesed, gvura, tiferes, netzach, chod, yesod, of kindness, severity, compassion, endurance, acknowledgement, humility, and foundation, connection. Those are the 6 divine emotions that now have been blown into us, that they become a derivative of our intelligence. Not that emotions come from intelligence, but they're shaped and molded by intelligence. right? That's why a child who's young, their intelligence is immature, therefore their emotions are immature. Their intelligence expands, right? They become greater intelligence, greater awareness. Now, that will then feed the emotions, that the emotions will be developed. Right? Again, because the Abba Ima, the father, mother, or Chachma and Bina, when they're a union created as Das is the union, now it begets an offspring called an emotion. And then we have Malchus above, supernal speech of God, which the king rules with his word. And in our soul, Malchus is our speech. All right, so now we're speaking about the divine soul. Right? Divine soul. So what will be the divine soul's speech? Exactly what we're doing now. Learning Torah. Learning Torah. Or praying. And that's why prayer, for example, has to be done with speech. It can't be just a prayer in your heart and your mind thinking, because it needs to come and express itself in speech, because the quality of the soul that I have that has Malchus in my soul, again, that is blown into me a piece of God, that I have that quality of Malchus in my soul, which means my capability of speaking and communicating, when it's coming from the godly soul, the communication, so then the communication will be in a godly manner. I'm going to communicate words of Torah, like I'm speaking now. Or, earlier I made a blessing. I made a bracha. And that bracha then is revealing and attaching my soul through that, creating a connection. In other words, that I have a reflection of God in me, that when I speak, that which I understand in my mind and gives me a feeling in my heart, and now I relate it or express it through speech, whether it's a prayer or whether it's a study, what I'm doing then is creating a connection with my faculties of my soul to the divine faculties, and therefore eliciting a light above, an energy above, in the act that I'm doing. The act of even just speaking the words of a prayer. That's why you can't just think it. You have to express it. You have to speak it. Otherwise you don't fulfill the mitzvah. You don't make the connection. So what we have over here now is an understanding of how we elicit divine energy, life force, when we do good. That's a reflection of the godly soul. Beautiful. In tomorrow's class, we're going to learn the opposite, the other side. How is it that we bring about, elicit the opposite when we do something bad? But that will be in tomorrow's class. So how appropriate is this teaching in the times that we're living through right now? Difficult times of what's going on in the Holy Land in Israel. The Jewish people there dealing with an enemy that is So what can we do? So if you're on the front lines as an Israeli soldier, so then the mitzvah is to eradicate the evil. That's, get rid of the evil. Because, as we will learn in tomorrow's class, how, you know, we don't have to understand, I mean, we do need to understand, but we know there's evil out there. The question is, how does that come from God? So that's the path we're coming to understand. That we know. Well, what's important for us right now is what we can do on our end to eradicate evil. On our end, well, this is what we just learned. We have a godly soul. And every time we do a mitzvah, especially if we're mindful and do it intentionally in order to bring divine light into this world, that it should eradicate the evil. That the light of our Torah learning, the light of the mitzvah that we do, is a little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness, and that is our intent to do, then the positive what we do will push away darkness. That doesn't mean it's going to change the enemy necessarily. They're going to do tshuva, they're going to be penitent. That's not necessarily what it means. But we're giving light and life to the good and the positive within this world that will allow that to overcome. So whether it's our mitzvah that we're doing right now that will help an Israeli soldier and secure their life in their battle, wow. Imagine. I'm not imagine. It is that way. That our study, the charity we give, the tefillin we put on, the Shabbos candles that we light, all these things are bringing light and life, and they're actually helping on the front line that soldier that's there, helping, which is amazing. Now, I just using that as a, springboard, what we just learned over here. Where we're going with this is to then understand in tomorrow's class evil and where that power comes from. Okay, we got some questions here. A reminder, tonight we have Torah studies on the parsha of Noah and the flood. Looking very much forward. Back on Sundays at 6:30, and then at 8 p.m. there will be TRC, Tanya Rabbi Community. So David is asking, did eating from the tree of knowledge have any effect on doing good or evil? Absolutely. When Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge and good and evil, what they did was create a world that good and evil are mixed together, that there's no such thing as good without bad and bad without some good. Before that, in the garden, everything was God's garden and everything was godly and good, except for the serpent and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It was a mixture of good and evil, but it was identifiable in one tree. Now, everything is good and evil. This phone, right, is good and evil. Many addicts, right, have become addicted to their phone. That's evil. But there's much good. What is it? We're learning now together. We're able to learn together because of a smartphone in, places around the world, which is amazing. That's beautiful. So that's a mixture of good and evil. Right? That's the world that we live in. So yes, it definitely affected. Will the wicked be wiped out before or after Mashiach comes? Well, wickedness will be wiped out. Wicked and wickedness. Yes, absolutely. Is evil the force of the devil? We're going to learn about it tomorrow. Joseph, sorry. Evil is tomorrow. Today is godliness. Today is the godly day, so I'm not going to answer that question because we're going to wait for it for tomorrow. Thank you, though. Any other questions? I don't see. Rambam coming up right after this. And again, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York time, Montreal time. It'll be on Zoom, and it'll be on Facebook, Chabad ZK. Come and join us. And then TRC, that's private for those who want to be part of the community. All right. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadesh, Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing, great day and a good Chodesh, good new month, everybody. Thank you.